Hey everyone, let's jump straight into today's explainer because we are looking at something that is fundamentally shifting how developers and knowledge workers actually interact with AI. Back on May 7th, 2026, OpenAI officially dropped the Codex Chrome extension. And look, this isn't just some minor incremental update. It is a massive bridge connecting your AI assistant directly to your real, fully authenticated web browser. We're going to break down exactly what this extension actually does, how it's built under the hood, and crucially, the very real security implications of letting an AI agent run wild in your live sessions.
So I want you to stop and think about this for just a second. Where does your actual day-to-day developer work really happen? I mean, sure, we're writing code in our IDEs, but when it comes to debugging, testing, tracking down workflows, the real heavy lifting happens behind a login screen, right? It's happening in Jira, in your staging environments, Salesforce, or those super secure internal dashboards. And that exposes this massive shared headache we've all been dealing with up until now, which is the sandboxed agent problem. Traditional AI agents, the ones using those basic in-app browsers, they're completely blind to your authenticated logged-in sessions. They literally can't check a private ticket. They can't reproduce a bug that only triggers for signed-in users. They basically just hit a login wall and give up. Well, the Codex Chrome extension was built explicitly to smash through that wall.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at moving beyond the sandbox, break down the three-tier model, check out some real-world use cases, weigh those all-important security trade-offs, put Codex head-to-head with Claude, and finish up with a quick reality check. All right, part 1, beyond the sandbox. Let's see how it gets into the real browser. Okay, so the architecture behind version 1.1.4 is honestly what makes this so powerful. This extension operates right inside your active Chrome profile, and it's powered by GPT-5.3 Codex, which, if you've seen the benchmarks, is blazing fast. We're talking around 25% faster than competitors like Claude Opus 4. Now, because it runs in your active profile, it instantly grabs access to your cookies and session tokens. But, and this is a really crucial detail, it doesn't completely hijack your screen. It actually works quietly in task-specific background tab groups, so you can just keep browsing normally while Codex does its thing in the background. Quick side note though, due to regulatory hurdles, this is currently totally unavailable if you're in the EU or the UK. Moving on to part 2, the three-tier model. You can kind of think of Codex as having this very specific toolbox, and it uses a strict priority stack to pick its tools. First up, it always looks for dedicated plugins. If there's a native API for GitHub or Linear, it'll use that, because it's just cleaner and more reliable. Second, if your task needs a logged-in browser state, like, say, checking a staging server, it'll reach for the new Chrome extension. And finally, it uses its built-in, sandboxed in-app browser as an absolute last resort. So the golden rule to remember here is this: do not bring your real Chrome session into sandboxed local dev work. If you're just testing localhost 3000, Codex is smart enough to use that sandboxed in-app browser to keep your real, personal profile totally safe and uncluttered. So what does this actually look like in practice? Let's hit part 3, real-world use cases.
The practical applications here are, frankly, staggering. Because Codex now has your logged-in context, it can comb through internal single sign-on dashboards to summarize your KPIs. For the engineers out there, it can actually run multi-tab parallelism for QA testing. Just imagine telling Codex, hey, test this checkout flow across 3 different user roles simultaneously, and it just pops open a background tab group and does it. No way, right? It even integrates natively with Chrome DevTools to monitor console errors and validate DOM behaviors. And for the business side, you can have it automate CRM updates in Salesforce or even triage your actual Gmail inbox. It's really making that leap from a basic coding assistant to a full-blown workflow agent.
But, of course, there's always a catch. Let's talk about part 4, the security trade-offs. OpenAI actually put out a pretty blunt warning about this in their official guidance. They are telling us flat out, treat page content as untrusted context. Why? Well, because when an AI agent is reading random web pages while it's logged into your accounts, the blast radius is absolutely massive. A malicious site or even just a badly configured internal tool could have hidden instructions designed to hijack the agent. It's a classic prompt injection threat, and this is exactly why Codex relies on strict per-site permission prompts and domain allow lists. It's going to stop and ask you before it accesses a new host, and you absolutely should not just blanket allow everything. To put some real numbers behind this risk, let's look at a stat published by Anthropic from their own agent testing, 11.2%.
That is the attack success rate for prompt injections even with their current security mitigations fully in place. Just for context, before those mitigations, it was over 23%. Now, OpenAI hasn't published their specific prompt injection defense numbers for Codex just yet, which basically means they're relying heavily on you, the user, to manually review permissions and keep the agent away from sketchy or high-risk domains. All right, let's pivot a bit for part 5, Codex versus Claude, the browser battle.
We are looking at a real philosophical divide here between the two dominant AI coding tools on the market right now. Codex works silently in background tab groups. It kind of just wants to get out of your way and do the work. Claude for Chrome, on the other hand, operates in a foreground side panel. It wants you to watch it work and collaborate directly. And, as we mentioned, Claude is available in the EU and UK right now, whereas Codex is not. Also, Claude natively links up with their terminal tool, Claude Code, which creates this really incredible build-in terminal test-in-browser feedback loop. Oh, and Claude actually lets you record and replay browser workflows, which is a feature Codex is completely missing at the moment.
Finally, let's wrap things up with part 6, the reality check. Look, as amazing as this tech is, it is still really early days. So yeah, bugs are a reality. Take GitHub bug 21868, for example. Windows desktop users are reporting that when they explicitly ask Codex to use the Chrome extension, the system just gets totally confused. Instead of using your real signed-in session, it accidentally falls back to an isolated sandboxed DevTools profile. And when that happens, poof, all that authenticated state, your cookies, your logins, it's totally lost, which obviously breaks the exact workflows this tool was built to do in the first place. Even with those growing pains, though, people are eating this up. The adoption is just explosive. Codex recently crossed 4 million weekly active users. That is an 8x jump just since January. We are literally witnessing an industry-wide shift where developers and massive enterprises are just eagerly plugging these deeply authenticated agents into their daily routines. They're perfectly willing to navigate a few weird bugs if it means getting those crazy productivity gains. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you to chew on this. Is the sheer convenience of having an AI agent acting on your behalf deep inside your logged-in accounts truly worth the expanded security blast radius? I mean, the productivity upside is undeniably huge, but those prompt injection risks, they are very, very real. It's a trade-off that every developer and enterprise is going to have to carefully weigh for themselves. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and seriously, check your own threat models before you hand over the keys to your Chrome profile.